March 16th, 2019. Beautiful Saturday morning. Top of Constance Peak in the San Bernardino National Forest. 6,645 feet. I came up from Highway 38 down there, here in the San Bernardino National Forest. Came from beyond that peak right there, that small peak, which is Peak 6040. That was the first summit I hit this morning. So behind it, there's a post office, a restaurant. I believe it's called the Oaks Restaurant. So I parked at a turnout about a quarter of a mile before that, walked along the highway for a short distance, then went behind the post office and found Forest Service 1 and 12 and started hiking up that. So what I did is I hiked up Forest Service 1 and 12, then found a spur road, went up there to Peak 6040, then went back to the 1 and 12, and I hiked it maybe about a half mile or so, and it basically followed the north facing slopes of this ridge until it crossed. Basically what it does is it crosses and then it goes to the south side of the ridge. You can see the road down there. This is on the south side of the ridge. So when it crosses at a saddle from the north side of the ridge to the south side of the ridge, what I did is I made a right turn and just started hiking cross country up this ridge here. So I've been following this ridge for a little while. Basically followed this over roughly about 3 false summits. Basically, since there's quite a bit of snow on the route, it's basically a free-for-all cross-country route. I'm just following the paths of least resistance to get up here. There are a few rock ducks placed by hikers to get here along the way. Not many. No, I didn't see many of them. Some of them could be underneath the snow, but they do place them because I believe this is a Sierra Club 100 Peaks section summit. I believe. Pretty sure it is. Whether it is or not really isn't of a huge importance to me, because I just love hiking the summits, whether they're Sierra Club peaks, whether they even have names like that. If you go on this website called peakbagger.com, it's a huge database of peaks, and I do use that very heavily in my research. There are a lot of peaks that are not even recognized on Peakbagger. Like Peak 6040 over there is not even on Peakbagger. So it doesn't have to be on Peakbagger or any of those other websites that pertain to mountain hiking or summits. But I just love the feeling of going to the top of a mountain peak. Just a feeling that makes me feel good. It's a sense of accomplishment. And look at the views from here on top of Constance Peak. This is a fairly well-known peak. It's not, maybe its ticket, it's not quite as big as, say, San Bernardino Peak or Yucaipa Ridge or Sugarloaf or San Gorgonio or Butler Peak, which is way off in the cut somewhere there. And it's not a big ticket peak like that, but it's a very nice peak, very rewarding peak. Insane views from here. I'm just blown away by how beautiful it is up here. Up here, it's mostly chaparral. Let's see. I'm going to go to maybe over here. There's a little bit of a vantage point. There's a lot of interior live oak up here. Quercus willis anivridifruitescens. It's this shrub right here. It's often anywhere from a small shrub to a small tree, about 20-something feet in height. So let's see, what kind of vantage can I get from here? Well, you can see the Inland Empire all spread out before us. I can see, I believe, Yeah, I can see to I believe that's Box Springs Mountain over there. But beneath this ridge here, there's a big long ridge in the background. I'll get to that in a minute, because that's a very important mountain range to me, by the way. But I can see what looks like Box Springs Mountain, Moreno Valley. I can see Palomar Mountain from here very clearly. It's that long ridge way off to the south. That's Palomar Mountain over there. And it's kind of hazy, but I can even see Cuyamaca Peak just near the geological, or the geographical center of San Diego County is Cuyamaca. But I can see it from here. And Palomar's that big long ridge. The high point is about there, and then there's a big dip, and then there's Agua Tibia Mountain. I have yet to hike Agua Tibia. I've hiked up to high point of Palomar. Then we got some fire breaks. We got a lot of fire breaks around here, I noticed too. Now we get this other peak here, is in the foreground, right here. That's called Morton Peak. There's a fire lookout tower on top of that summit. I've not visited that one. In fact, I've never actually seen it until today. And I've driven past it on coming up from Mentone on the 38. I've probably passed it countless times driving up here to the mountains, because there's a dirt road that leads up to the top of Morton Peak, because there's a fire lookout there. And then there's a low range of hills here. These are called the Crafton Hills, and its high point is called Zanja Peak. It's Z-A-N-J-A, Zanja Peak, and that's about 3,500 feet in elevation. Now, that looks like there's a dam down there. I want to say Seven Oaks Dam. I think that's the name of it. But you can see it clearly down there in the cut. Now we're looking over towards the eastern part of the San Bernardinos, where the elevation gradually, gently lowers until you get to Cajon Pass. I believe I see Strawberry Peak over there. 6,153. I think that's Strawberry Peak. That might be Mount R, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not as fluent with the San Bernardino mountain peaks as I am with the San Gabriels, because I hike much more in the San Gabriels, which are those snow-capped mountains off in the cut, off to the west. But if you're heading west towards Cajon Pass, the elevation's gently lower. Then we got Keller Peak and Slide Peak, which are right next to each other. Keller, Slide. Then, okay, back to this ridge I was talking about earlier. It's a very important ridge for me. That's the Santa Ana Mountains. Basically, they form a wall between Orange County to the south and west, and Riverside County to the north and east. You can see the Saddleback Formation. They call that Old Saddleback. That's a colloquial term for what on the left is Santiago Peak, and what on the right is Majesca Peak. Santiago Peak is the highest point in the Santa Ana Mountains and the highest point in Orange County at 5,687 feet. Majesca being a close second at 5,496 feet. And then you can see, you can look over towards Pleasance Peak and over towards Sierra Peak, which is barely at 3,000 feet, and it anchors the north end of the Santa Anas. Then going south, I can see Trabuco Peak, Los Pinos Peak, and then it gradually lowers towards the Elsinore Mountains, which is a sub-range of the Santa Anas. I do like to hike in those a lot. Unfortunately, a huge chunk of that mountain range got burnt in the Holy Fire last August. So unfortunately, a lot of it was burnt, which is kind of sad. But you probably see some videos about that on my channel, because I do really like to document the places I hike. Well, this is Constance Peak, again, 6,645 feet, and I am going to go sign the summit register. There's a small register can right next to that manzanita right up there. So you can see countless mountain ranges. The more you hike them, the more you appreciate them. Of course, those are the western San Bernardinos. Here are the eastern San Bernardinos. Santa Ana River Canyon. Then you got the ridge butting up from the north of it. Then you got one of these is Snow Summit. I'm not sure which of these peaks is Snow Summit. Behind it, of course, is the Snow Summit Ski Resort. Then you got Bear Mountain. And then one of these peaks is called Sugar Lump. I'm not sure if it's this one or this one. And then you get the highest point in the San Bernardino National Forest. No, scratch that. Highest point in the San Bernardino Mountains outside of the vast San Gorgonio Wilderness. That's Sugarloaf Mountain at 9,952 feet. I hiked that up a couple years ago. Got caught in a deluge thunderstorm and got hailed on twice. That was an adventure. That was before I started recording videos, of course. But that was an adventure, an interesting day. Made it to the top. Didn't make it before the thunderstorms got to me though, but it's alright. Made it in one piece, made it down in one piece. And of course we got the massive San Bernardino Peak, which is this big, huge mountain that's almost exactly 4,000 feet higher than where I'm standing right now. This is 6,645 feet here. That's 10,649 feet. So pretty close to exactly 4,000 feet higher. So, and that's over towards the 18. Big Bear is between this ridge here and the ridge behind it, which leads towards Delamar Mountain, Bertha Peak, and then towards the Highway 18 going down to Lucerne Valley in the Mojave Desert, which is near where I hiked last week up Eastward Mountain. But that's a dirt road. I'm gonna debate whether I'm gonna hike down this way to catch the South Fire Break to get back on the dirt road and just gently follow it along here back, or to go back the ridge route. So I sit up here, sign the register, and then do my next plan. And I'll keep you in the loop on my next video. Thanks for watching so far. I appreciate you guys taking interest in me, in my hiking adventures. And the next video should feature me down the way. But now it's time for the obligatory selfie, summit signing, and celebratory drink. I'm gonna go open up my backpack and pop open a Powerade.